Welcome to Not in Real Estate with me, National Core. In this episode, we are going to discuss about the National Building Code. The National Building Code that was launched recently, actually last week, by the National Construction Authority through the State Department of Public Works. So I'm going to talk about my concerns with this code, and I have some grave concerns with it. And I think first of all to say that we are at a good point in our country where we are trying to amend our building code. The building code we've been using in our industry was left for us by the colonists. I mean, that's how long it's taken. I think it's 1968, if I'm not wrong, or when that code was done. So it's a good thing that we're having a debate on a new building code. I think it's long overdue. Ghana as one of the most progressive building codes that I've seen in this continent. Ghana was very bold in doing the building code, and I've always said that we need to be quite bold as well when we're doing our building code. It's taken us about 8-9 years to do this building code, and unfortunately it has issues. It has issues that cannot be left unchallenged. It cannot be left unchallenged. If they are left unchallenged, they set precedences that are not good. They will bring issues and confusions in our building sector. So let me give you some history. When the building code was being drafted, and the process began when I was still the chair of ACMK, the chairman of Association of Construction Managers of Kenya. And that's about 2020 to 2021. I remember when I was the chair then, the National Construction Authority, the State Department of Public Works, through NTA wrote to us at the association to give our comments on the building code. And we did. I quite lucidly remember that one of the biggest concerns we have was the exclusion of certain key professionals that are emerged in the industry. And we were pleading in that memorandum, we really pleaded with the NCA and the State Department of Public Works to do a building code that reflects practice, reflects these 24 years into this century, a building code that reflected the happenings of this century. That was our plea. There was nothing else. Unfortunately, if you look at that building code, it is very, for lack of better word, it's very retrogressive. Yes, it has the elements of green building which are good, but overall that building code has left in key players in this industry. Key players that have a key role to play in the construction sector. A building code that leaves out interior designers. Okay? And the role of that interior designers today play in our built environment, it's key. Nearly everyone that does houses these days requires the services of interior designers. Offices, residential spaces, everything, if you look at it, those spaces, everyone is keen on having interior designers. Houses that, and COVID sort of ballooned this as well, that we realized we can stay so long in internal spaces, and people became so attentive in how interior spaces look like. A building code that has left out such a key professional in the built environment is not a building code that you can call national. The role of interior designers in our built environment is fundamental. They play a crucial role, and they're going to play that role for the years to come. The role of landscape architects. Look at landscape architects. And landscape architects have been busy with dealing with our external spaces, just how our exterior spaces look like, our gardens. And if you look, and if you look at the trend that is happening in a lot of our new developments, even single dwelling spaces, even just office blocks that we are having. There's a keen attention to how our landscaping look like. And as a country that is a signatory to the UN Accord on Sustainable Cities, the role that a landscape architect plays in ensuring that our landscaping environments marries with our buildings that we're doing is important. But this code This code has no space for such a consultant, for such a professional, such a key professional that we have in our building sector, such a key professional that we are going to require going forward. Even in the villages these days, people are keen to have the services of our landscape architects to just deal with how our gardens look like, our exterior look like. And we have landscape architects, some of the most qualified probably in this continent, in this country. But this building code has no space for landscape architects. Number 3, the building code has also left out the critical role of the project and construction managers. Now, it's fundamentally laughable if you look at it. A country and a sector that is grappling with unprofessionalized sites, management of projects, has a code that leaves out the people, the very people that are supposed to help professionalize how we manage projects in this country. That is not a progressive building code. That is a retrogressive building code. The role of the project manager, the role of the construction manager in assisting projects, both private and public, to realize time, to be on time, to realize budgets, to be within scopes, to professionalize how projects are executed. And public projects are the worst. And yet the government does a building code that excludes this expert that will help them to realize projects professionally. We have a big problems in public projects on how on one-time cost and time overruns on projects. Look at it. Nearly all public projects are either delayed or are over budget and poor quality, or both. Okay? We begin projects, public projects, you're almost guaranteed it's going to delay. There's going to be over budget from the budget that was given, and the quality is always questionable. Now, project and construction managers come in to assist government and assist the public and the private sector to realize some of those triple constants of time, cost, and quality. Their role is fundamental in our projects that are executed, and it's not bespoke to us. This is not unique to Kenya. If you look at the countries ahead of us, one of the things that they've done to their built environment is they have professionalized how projects are executed. That's additional steel that they added into their built environment. And we have a building code that we are told is one of the most progressive, one of the best, and yet it has also left the profession of construction and project managers in it. That is a building code that is not suitable for a nation. And when we had discussions with the NCA sometimes back, this is one of the things that personally had requested them to do. That do building codes that are going to be progressive for our industry. Do a code that 20 years, 30 years down the line will still be relevant to this industry. Okay? But they chose to be conformist. They chose to be gatekeepers. They chose to protect certain people in certain professions that have refused to change by the changing times. One of the reasons you hear being thrown about is these professions that have been left out have not been regulated. But what we keep asking, regulated by who? It's the same government. Okay? When someone is called deep in the village to come and do interior design at University of Nairobi, who calls that person? Who calls that boy or girl after Form 4 that you've been selected to do Bachelor of Interior Design at University of Nairobi? It's the government. These courses are accredited with the Commissioner of University Education. So when that person completes that course, and that person has been funded by government, given help, taxpayers' money, lecturers paid by taxpayers' money. So government calls you to do the course in a public university, funds you through the process of doing that course, pays lecturers that are teaching you. And when you complete, the government says you're not regulated. Regulated by who? Who is supposed to regulate this profession? It's the same government. So the same government accredits the course. The same government calls you to do the course. the same government funds you through the process of doing the course. And when you finish, the same government tells you you're not recognized in a court that the same government is doing. That is what we are facing here. It cannot stand that parents spend thousands of shillings on people, on their children, to do these courses. And the government has been lazy. Construction management began in this country in the year 2001. It's been 23 years. 23 years. The first graduates have been practicing for the last 19 years. That's an adult. Even by our constitution itself, that's an adult that requires an ID, a national identity card. And government at time, if it says that recognition in the building code requires regulation, it had time when it began these courses in universities, some for the last 23 years, to regulate. It had time when it started doing the building code 10 years ago. It had 10 years before the launch of that building code last week to regulate wherever it felt wasn't regulated. Because it is the role of government to regulate professions. It is their mandate. So we cannot have this lazy excuse of people who are refusing to think that lack of regulation should be a prerequisite for exclusion of professions like landscape architects, interior design, construction managers, construction project managers in the building code. If it is a condition for inclusion, then by all means, regulate them. They haven't refused to be regulated. So the building code that personally I had hoped would have given us one of the most progressive building codes that history will have a few parallels, unfortunately has stuck to the past of our industry. And look, this is what most of us are saying. We are not saying you reinvent the wheel. We are not saying you're going to start a new thing. What we are asking that the building code does, it follows what is happening in practice. We have interior designers practicing as we speak right now. We have landscape architects practicing, and some have been practicing for the last 2 decades. We have project managers and construction managers practicing as we speak right now. Regulation must follow practice. There is no conflict, there is no war that is happening in the construction sector as we speak right now because of these professions practicing. They are practicing harmoniously with their colleagues. The role that they are playing currently in the built environment, that is what we want you to put in the code. They have been doing it for the last 2 decades. They have been doing it longer than NCA have existed. They have been doing it longer than since when this building code was being revised. So you cannot come and say you've been doing building code for the last 8-9 years when a profession has been here for the last 20-something years. And then you say you don't recognize them when they are older than yourself. Follow the practice. What you are telling you is amend the building code and follow the practice that is happening in the industry. Otherwise, government is going to render a lot of people jobless come February. Okay? The professions that they've left out in the code, when the building code comes into effect in February next year, a lot of people are going to be jobless. All these interior designers in the country, where are they going to go that are practicing? The landscape architects, the construction managers and project managers that are practicing, where are they going to take them in February when you are saying they can't even supervise buildings? How about the hundreds, probably thousands of students that are pursuing this course as we speak in the universities right now? What is government telling them? So the building code must be amended. This country belongs to all of us. We are all taxpayers. We are all sons and daughters of this beautiful country called Kenya. This is our country. No one is bigger or smaller than the other. We must all be included. When you say something is a national code, it must include every single profession in that industry. And this is what I keep telling my colleagues who are stuck to the past. Look, if you're a student of the global built environment like I am, okay, if you perpetually study how the built environment is moving, as I do it on a regular basis, We are not done with the new professions coming to the built environment. We are not done yet. If you look at how it's moving, we're going to have more professionals coming to the built environment. Please don't be stuck to the past. As the built environment changes, so must you change. When new professions will emerge out of need, okay, because of the changes of the global built environment, so must we. So must we. We must listen to what the industry is saying. We must listen to the trends of the world if you're going to be a country with a most progressive built environment. We cannot have some of these debates when countries like South Africa long regularize some of these professions. Let us move with time. The National Building Code 2024 must be amended. It must be amended. Whatever it shall take, the National Building Code must be recalled by the President, and it must be amended so that it includes every single person that is practicing the built environment. A government that it's been talking about creation of jobs through affordable housing cannot be the same government that is taking away tens of thousands of jobs already people who are practicing. It's not possible. Amend the building code and include every single profession. Thank you very much.